So the blue t-shirt is not a blue t-shirt. So me, I'm here, Blender also here. We will start. This is a concept that I got for a freelance. They allowed me to show it on camera, so I'm showing it, obviously. And we will start doing it. The concept itself is not the best concept ever, but I've worked with worst, so I am okay with it. Of course, for the face itself, because the body obviously is a relatively muscular, not super muscular guy, with 4 fingers and 4 toes. I guess 4, yeah, 4. So he's kind of a humanoid, but an alien because of the blue skin and some other things like those rocks coming out from the skin. So basically not something to brag about too much. It's kind of normal. The thing is, for the face, since it's important, usually on kind of all characters, the face is pretty important. I would need additional references. So, for example, he should look more like this and this. So I put a request for additional, let's say, references for this face. And yeah, hopefully they will give it. Otherwise, the other option is to just do something and then give it for feedback. It will be a little bit slower process, usually. It is, but it's fine. I have to just do a humanoid head for now. Maybe a little bit higher cheekbones and yeah, nothing too much. Since, yeah, he is an alien, but not ultra alien-like, you know. Now, these days I was playing a lot of Starfield. That's why I don't have too much time, because I have freelance. I have also other freelances, not only this one. And I am playing Starfield, so there is not much time for anything else. Not much time for preparation for another course, for example, unfortunately. Not much time for anything. So yeah, at some point I will get sick of Starfield. I will get, the freelances will kind of dry out probably. It's always happens this way. And I will just do the next course. But until then, freelances and Starfield is the name of the game. So let me just go and add 88 to the focal length, because usually I'm doing it with 88. 88 is a good focal length for faces especially. It could be more, it could be less. No, less, it's not exactly very good. Less than 85 usually is not recommended. So yeah. Now we see the corner of the jaw here is a little bit strangely placed, and overall we have an idea. We can have an idea how the face looks, but in order to do it better, in order to make it nicer, we need more references. So we can make it as much as the client wants it, as much as to the client expectations, we may say. If they want it exactly like the concept, then it can be done, but it will not look good, since the concept is obviously not the best, you know. But as I said, the concept doesn't need to be superb for me to see what has to be done. I can see what has to be done, but of course for the face itself, it's better to have a little bit more clarity with some references from real life actors, or from some pictures, or from some games or TV shows, whatever. If I make the nose, for example, this short, I don't know, and the lips are pretty feminine, which probably is the how they want it, but it's about to be seen. The body is pretty straightforward. The face, probably we will have some back and forwards about it. But this is how you start. You just start with something. Many people are starting with base meshes, but in this case, since it's not exactly completely human, it's a little bit of an alien, the base mesh could have some problems because you have to remove one finger, since it has 4 fingers on the hands, and of course the toes have to be a little bit different with 4 fingers again, 4 toes. So yeah, it's not exactly easy to do it with the base mesh, this type of character. Sometimes it's better to start from scratch, to be completely custom. Now let's see. Hi from Morocco. Got that avatar character from Wish. Okay. Hello, I'm your fan. Please take my name and I will make all video models. And please never quit YouTube. Big fan of your art. Okay. Take my name. I will make all your video models. Good. How to take your name, I don't know exactly, but yeah. This is like some kind of a quest in the video game, you know. Take the name of this by the way, in Starfield, when you hear some character explain you what you have to do, it will give the impression that the quest is pretty complicated. So go there and you have to go around the security to go and you know, find a way to get the key card from this character. But in reality, you just go there, you just sneak to the character, very easy. Just go behind the character, push the sneak button and steal it from the character, like pickpocket him. So yeah, in the video game it's pretty straightforward because you have the marker and you go to the marker and you steal the card and you do the stuff. Usually the explanation is like very complicated and it will give you the impression that this is something very, very hard, but the actual quest is super simple and easy and even a little bit insulting to the intelligence of the player. But yeah, this is like Starfield and Skyrim and Fallout. They are not difficult games. They are kind of easy mass games. They are not like Dark Souls or this type of difficult stuff. So yeah, they have to be probably easy. And I like it. I like easy games. I don't like super hard complicated games. I'm not the true gamer. I've played some games like StarCraft and Fallout 1, Fallout 2. Fallout series, the first ones, back in the days, it was the late 90s, I think, when they came out, Fallout 1 and 2. They were not easy games by any means. They were not very easy. Because you don't have you get the quest, and then you have to figure out how to do it. You have to search, you have to... and then the internet was not that developed to search in the internet. It was pretty hard back in the days. Nowadays, you got the quest, you have the marker, you follow the marker, you go there. Easy peasy. Hello from Siberia, Russia. Здравствуй. Great contribution, great tutorial, great life. You have my like. Thank you so much. Greetings. Thank you. Привет, Сибири, Челябинск. Челябинsk. I think you played Starfield for 14 hours in one day. Maybe, but I think my Starfield now is at... Let's see... How much time? I cannot see. 62 hours. Ooh. I thought that I have around 50 hours maybe, but 62 hours, yeah. Time flies when you play this game. I mean, it's very much fun. But now, since I'm not doing outpost building, I'm not doing ship building, it's starting to get a little bit repetitive. It's a good thing, by the way, so I can quit it and focus more on the important things. But it's a nice for a change to kind of get excited for a game. It's a typical Bethesda game, like like Skyrim, like Fallout series. It's pretty typical, and that's why I like it, because I like Bethesda games in general. They're pretty much fun, and the mechanics are, well, relatively the same. So when you played one Bethesda game, you can play easily any other. It's cool, by the way. But yeah, I realized that they have made these games now easier and easier and easier. Sometimes there is a quest in Starfield where I have to go to the same planet, to the same city in the same planet, but in the other side of the city, and do something. And it takes more time to do that than to go to another galaxy or another planet system and do something there, because traveling between planet systems can be done with fast travel, and traveling inside the city, just to the other side of it, have to be done by just walking and running and whatever. So it's not. Sometimes it's interesting that it's easier to go to another planet system than, or solar system, we may say, than to go to the other side of the city in the game. It's pretty much fun. So the ears are a little bit sharper, like this. Okay. Yeah, this guy will have, I guess, relatively more iterations. This is just the first kind of phase of the development, we may say. So I'm not super concerned of how he will look. I'm just gonna make him relatively fine looking. Maybe the neck should be a little bit longer. He doesn't have too much straps, by the way, in the concept, although he's relatively muscular guy. But yeah, he should be something like a dancer, as long as I understand, because we had a meeting. When you get a freelance, it works like this. So you get your things in Artstation. They are relatively fine. Then somebody finds you, they write an email, or in Artstation they reach you and they say, we need to talk, we have a project, when you can make a meeting. Then you schedule a meeting, then you make the meeting. Meet each other, talk a little bit, like half an hour or something, and you decide to go on with the project, for example. And then it starts with some emails, with contracts, stuff like this. And then, yeah, sometimes it's without contracts, but usually it's with contracts. You have to sign a contract, you have to sign an NDA agreement, and so forth. For this, they told me a couple of times that I can show the concept. I cannot say which is the game or whatever, or which is the company. No, but the concept I can show, and I can show how I do it. So it's cool. Let me see, we have a different view of the character, this one. So he's pretty much feminine, I would say, in this concept. I don't know if I have to do him that feminine, but I will try at least to make him a little bit more feminine. Maybe, smaller nose, cat-like eyes. He has eyebrows, by the way, which I don't have. But at some point we will have eyebrows, probably. There is a stone in here. I can just make something just to be clear. Yeah, this way with the stone he will look a little bit better. So the sharp chin also is more feminine. and maybe the neck shouldn't be that thick. I'm just analyzing, trying to analyze for you guys how this will probably work. Everybody, when they get their assignment at some point in life, when you have the freelance, you have to do these analyzations usually by yourself. And in the beginning it's not easy to do it. But for example, if you have a very nice concept, it will be much easier because you will follow the concept completely and utterly without any doubts. Now I have some doubts in here. Doubts, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. And that's why I told them to, if they can, if they want, to provide me with some resources so I can have a better idea what am I doing. Otherwise, if they don't, I will give this, then there will be feedback, then I will work on the feedback, then will be another feedback, and with couple of feedbacks we will get to the real point, alien. Yeah. Hey Nico, the hand sculpture course you mentioned in the last stream is a really good idea. Hope you decide to go ahead. I will definitely make it. The thing is that I told you, now I have Skyrim, I have family, I have freelance, Skyrim, no, the Starfield. So now it's, I'm postponing this course. Hopefully I will do it this year, by the way, because I'm not sure even if I will be able to do it this year. But hopefully, let's hope to be this year. Yeah, if you guys stop buying my courses and at some point I, you know, finish some of the months on minus, so more expenses than income, then definitely it will push me. So just stop buying my courses and yeah, probably I will do another course very rapidly. But it's not a super good idea though, because when you are pushed by some external factors to do something, it's not gonna work as good as when you are doing it by your own terms. At least that's my opinion. I'm trying to give him this kind of a cheekbones, a little bit feminine and interesting. And of course I am not completely you know, making it to the concept, because on the concept right now you see the mouth is pretty much distorted and the eyes also, so it's not exactly you know, what you want to do. You know, it's very rare occasion that I have seen people want exactly like the concept from a similar or worse concept. They want it to be exactly like the concept. In this position, you can. I like to be in position to say no, because yeah, usually you cannot be in that position because you want the job, you want to get some money or whatever. But usually I can be in the position to say that probably some other artists should get it, because you know, I'm not exactly happy doing it completely to the concept, because the concept is not good enough, you know. But hopefully in this case I will have artistic freedom to make it better looking, and we'll see. I will tell you in the you know, some of the next lives how this is going, and we'll see what will happen. Okay, we have the ribs here. I can do it, the middle point a little bit. Let's see some... Nico, I bought your head sculpting course on Udemy and it's amazing. I'm planning on buying the newest female armored assassin course on Udemy soon. Yeah, for that, it's good, but again, I will remind you that even if in Udemy there is no sale, usually there is, but if there is not, you can always go to my channel, the other one, just the speed chart channel, not the speed chart live, which is this one, and buy the course from the links in the description of the promo video of that course. So every course that I have a promo video in my other channel, and under that promo video, in the description, I usually keep links, promo links, which are usually for around $13 or less. And for that price, you can buy the course. Of course, you can buy it sometimes in Udemy cheaper from Udemy itself for $11, for example. But the difference is not for you. The difference for me is that if you buy it from Udemy directly, usually I get like $2 or $3 for a course. If you buy it from my promo link in the description of the video, of the promo video of the course, then I get like 80 to 90% of that price. So yeah, you decide which is best for you. No, I hate when YouTubers and other people are saying, buy this from this place because something. I'm saying that I'm getting much more money if you buy it from my promo link. It could be a little bit more expensive, so the difference could be from Udemy directly could be like $11, and from my link could be $13, $14, I'm not sure. So the difference is like $3 probably. Sometimes from my link is cheaper, but from the promo link is definitely better for me. As I told you, I get much more money, much more percentage of the money when people buy it from the promo link. And I keep the promo links updated every month. I go and update the promo links. So yeah, it's probably not so interesting to talk about promo links and stuff for so long in the channel. At least if I was you, I will not be very interested in that. But yeah, I have to say it, and I probably should say it every time, since this is my only source of income these days. And freelance, of course, but the freelance, now I have freelance. A few months I haven't had almost any freelance. Now I have a little bit of freelance, which is cool. Let's put a sphere, which will be his shoulder. How much time do we have, by the way? Let me see. We are on 23 minutes, and for 23 minutes we are relatively fine. Seems the head is slightly bigger. No, it's not a problem if the head is bigger or smaller. This will be fixed later. In the beginning, the only thing we care about is to put some things, to just make some base things, and then we'll refine them. Definitely, it's not a problem. I have to ask the animator how he wants the arms. Usually animators, if you ask them, they will say the arms have to be completely straight, the fingers also have to be completely straight. But I have worked with very good animators back in Gameloft, and I know that if the animator is very good, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The hand could be in pretty much any position. Of course, normal position. Slightly bent on the elbows, slightly bent on the fingers. Just relaxed position. And if the animator is kind of experienced and good, he will not have any issues with that. But if the animator is kind of new, or he's not that experienced, usually they want strange things from the character artist. But yeah. And if you are a young character artist, you will not know better. And you will think that this is the way to do it. No, it depends on who you work with. Just that. All right. This is the arm. It looks awful right now, but hopefully in just a few seconds even it will start looking much better. Yeah, I will make course for arms. If I cannot do one arm, it will be a little bit of a problem, I guess. But I usually can. I haven't done any arm in at least 3 weeks, I think. So yeah. Or no, probably I'm lying. Or am I? I'm not sure. I have to check out the streams, the latest streams. But I think I'm not lying. Just before I went to Greece, I think was when I did one live, and then I made one arm. And since then, I don't think I made any arms. And this, by the way, this matters because practice constantly is what makes you better. When you stop for a little bit, you can kind of lose it a little bit. And then you have to gain it again. Which is never a good thing. No, it's fine. It's fine. Let me answer some questions just a little bit. Always put mirror to see both hands, both arms, because otherwise you will lose. When you make only one arm, it's a little bit more difficult. So I advise you to just do, with mirror. This way you can have a better idea overall of the overall picture, the overall character. Probably there are not too many questions though in the chat. So yeah, we will not answer questions today. I'm joking. We will do also, of course, the Artstation reviews, because I'm planning to do this character for less than an hour even, and then go to... So I was just wanted to show you how I start a character, for freelance or for whatever I started a character. I have to ask the other guy that I'm doing freelance for, which I started the low poly already, if I can show the character, but probably he will not have anything in mind, but I have to ask him. That's the thing. I haven't asked him, so I cannot show you how the other character is going. The other character is not pretentious, it's just a normal man with jacket and with a helm. It's I think it's some kind of a character from some kind of a animation. I'm not sure exactly, but it's not something very difficult to do. Okay, now I see that probably the back should be a little bit wider. Here also wider. There are a lot of things and a lot of adjustments that will happen later. As I told you in the beginning, we just put some things and put everything like arms, legs, and then we adjust until we are kind of happy with the result. It's not something that can be done. I mean, it can be done if you are ultra experienced. I'm experienced, very experienced. Not ultra experienced probably, because if you are ultra experienced and you do characters all the time, you probably will be able to capture the concept or make it even better for the first time. I mean, just right away, without too much iterations. For me, it takes some iterations. For most artists, it takes some iterations. It's not gonna work except if you are lucky. Sometimes I get lucky and it works very well from just the first try, just the first few hours, and I capture everything, like 90% of the character. And usually 90% is enough. Nobody asks you for 100, except some people ask, and when they do, it starts to get a little bit awkward, and I tend to quit sometimes even when they start to do that. I don't know. Because, you know, the distance that you have to travel from 1% to a 90% is, let's say, you have to work like 8 hours. I'd say 8 hours. For me, it can be 10 hours or whatever. And you get 90% of the likeness of the concept. If you have to go from 90 to 100, I don't know if you can go to 100, but I've seen, then you have to spend sometimes twice that amount of time, more. So it's, yeah, like let's say 20 hours more or at least 10 hours more, which is not very realistic, since I charge not by an hour, I charge for a finished piece, usually. So yeah. It's looking relatively fine. Let's see what are your what are the things people say. Ooh, I get some money. You should add a small banner in your live stream or a small pop-up in your normal videos to let people know that you're available for freelance. Most of the times I usually assume artists on YouTube usually gets lots of work. You know, I am available for freelance always, but since I get my income mostly from my courses, and it's relatively enough, usually. Of course, there always can be more, but let's not be greedy. So I choose my freelance if I like the concept, if I like the people, if I like the price, then I can work for freelance. I don't always accept freelancers. I know people, my colleagues here from Bulgaria, very good ones, very good character artists. Their emails are full with freelance offers, and they just don't answer to almost anybody. Maybe if the letter is pretty personal to them, it's pretty well established or well made clear what exactly is what exactly is needed from the guy, and probably a concept or something, it can make it a little bit more interesting for the guy. But usually a lot of the good artists, they just skip a lot of offers because they can, you know. Celebrate the first super chat from Abhishek Singh, who donated 4,000 something. We don't know what this something is, but it's 4,000 something. I don't know what it is. Maybe somebody can explain. I will be glad if somebody can explain. Why you have Gameloft? It's a story that I told a couple of times, but it was just... No, it was the time to go, probably. If I have to say it simple. But I left in good terms. What I mean by that, you know, the manager of Gameloft is kind of a friend of mine, and we are okay, we are chatting sometimes. We are working in the same academy. We're, you know, teaching in the same academy here in Bulgaria. Physically teaching, so we see each other sometimes there. So it's not something bad that happened. But if I have to be honest, one of the reasons was that I got a little bit lazy. I got a little bit, how to say it in English? I thought that I can do whatever I want, and which is not exactly true sometimes. Since I was doing my job mostly, I was getting my models ready in time and everything. There were certain occasions that I just didn't want to do something for the company. A low poly for the marketing purposes or whatever. It was not completely necessary to do it, but since I haven't had too much work then, they wanted me to do it. And doing a low poly for marketing, especially for a relatively complex model, it's a pretty hideous process. And I didn't want to do it. So I refused to do it, basically. And you cannot really refuse to do a job when you are hired to do a job, you know. And this is one of the reasons. Another reason was that I didn't want to come back to the office for 2 days a week. Because my life now is built around being at home, being here for my kids. And I cannot go just back to the office. It's kind of... yeah. And I told that to the manager. He told me that probably it will not work between us. And we split ways. But in good terms, as I said. So yeah. Hello Nico, will you ever do a Japanese warrior samurai character with 2 swords? Yeah, I have plans for a samurai character. Not with 2 swords probably, but yeah, probably with 2 swords, why not? One wakizashi and one katana. Or one wakizashi. It was wakizashi was the small sword, I'm not sure. But one small and one big sword, yeah, the normal samurai that we see in movies. I'm not sure how it was really, because I haven't really been... I don't know exactly the history of Japan, you know. I know it from movies, from books like Shogun, for example. James Clavell, Shogun. It's a very nice book. And also there's a TV series, old one. But really, I'm not completely familiar. If they really, all the samurais were like 2 swords, one for harakiri and one for fighting, for battle. Who knows? Maybe some historians will know, but not me. I'm not historian, no. Nico, why are you not working on Upwork? You will have much more freelance and you will have the potential to make good money there. I value my freedom, we may say. If I have a lot of freelance, I will not have free time. I will not have too much time for my other activities, for my kids, which in this age that they are, one is 5 and the other one is 14, they need their father. They need more attention. So the money are not that important. The love you give to the kids, that's more important, I think. You can't escape weight painting, no matter the position of the mesh, so yeah. Probably, yeah. Hey Nico, do you know the money to charge for a project? It depends on your level of, you know, your level of skill, your skill level. It always depends on that, how much you will charge for a project. Also your availability, if you have a lot of projects on your hands, probably you will charge more for each additional one, if you can, of course, work on additional ones. But yeah, it always depends. You cannot say like this character, it will be this amount of money for every artist that you will do it. It will be a different for each different artist. I will not tell you how much I'm charging for this one particularly, because I think it will be a violation for of the NDA agreement probably. But yeah, I've said in the channel a couple of times relatively how much I charge for relatively complex character. This one may seem simple, but it's not that simple, because it has those stones, it has this thing on his neck here which has a lot of ornaments. Other than that, it doesn't have anything else. So it's, if we have a scale, here is super simple, here is super complex character. This character is from the middle to more simple one. It's not ultra complex character. For example, my latest course of the armored girl was much more complex than this one. But This one requires low poly, it requires textures, it requires, of course, UVs, baking, and all that stuff that I don't usually show in my courses, except for the free one in YouTube, in my other channel. Probably most of you know. Nico, where do you find clients when you first start freelance? They found you usually. You cannot find clients except if you go to sites like the guy that said a little bit more up in the chat. So yeah, save, of course, yes, we have to save. Let's save it, Alien Blue. Good point, by the way. Usually I save it like this. I save the name of the character. I don't know the name of the character, so I call it Alien Blue. Doesn't matter. Alien Blue 01, save. Then I work on it, work. At some point, I save it as a separate file, Alien Blue 02, of course. Then I work more, and then Alien Blue 03. And then the high poly is ready. And then Alien Blue 03 low starts. And then low 1, low 2, low 3. Then it's ready. And then it's Alien Blue ready, for example. And a couple of files I have for Blender, for example, or for ZBrush, if I use ZBrush. I'm not sure if I will not have to use ZBrush for this one, because it has to be pretty... it probably will be for something like cinematics, so it has to be very well made with a lot of detail. So we will see if how I will proceed. Let me see how much time has passed. 41 minutes. So 41 minutes. I think I will work a little bit more on this character. And we'll see. Now, what I'm doing here, you will ask, Nico, what the hell? Probably not the hell. Just what are you doing? You will ask. I will say, I'm doing this. Just the thing on his neck. Just the basics of the thing on his neck. Easy. And now I will go add symmetry and start working with the sculpting brushes. I just did the base. You know, if you don't know how to do the base, for example, I don't hesitate too much. I just did a cylinder, deleted some parts, and you saw how I did it. This requires, of course, to know what to use, how to do it. It requires practice. If you don't have the practice, you will not know to use cylinder or to use something else or to retopologize on top of it, or how to do this very simple object. Of course, it's simple as a form, but then those ornamentations will not be as simple. So yeah, they will be a little bit harder to do, but nothing too much. Let me just go and symmetrize. Now it's better. Let's symmetrize this. The arms I will not symmetrize. So we have our alien. Kind of relatively fine. Let's answer some questions and we will see if we will continue or we will do something else. Yeah, we will have to do the Artstation reviews. I was looking for a pen tablet around $100. I think you should aim for a little bit less than $100. I'm using one by Wacom tablet and it's amazing. I have a couple of those tablets. Let me show you the box of this tablet. I have many of those tablets, by the way. So we'll see. Ooh, they're a little bit ducked in here, but I think I can get one out. Hopefully. Oh, I have a lot of them, by the way. Okay. So this is basically what tablet I'm using. Let me see if I can show you the name of the tablet. This NVIDIA stuff is killing me, you know. I cannot show you. One by Wacom. This one. And this one has a tablet inside even. Because I have couple of tablets in my wardrobe, which are for, you know, if something happens with this one, to have another one. Because it's very cheap. This tablet is super cheap. But it's working perfectly. There is a new version, I think, even, of this tablet. I'm not sure. Hey, can you make money in game industry by just sculpting? In theory, yes, but you have to be amazingly good. You have to be much better than myself, for example. Usually, they don't look for an artist who will do just the high poly. Usually, people want the whole package, which the character artist can provide. And the whole package that the character artist provides is high poly, low poly, on top of the high poly, UV mapping, and texturing. That's the whole package. The rigging and animation is not usually the work of a 3D character artist. It's a work of a rigger or animator. So if you cannot do the whole package, it's a little bit more difficult. But if you are very good, if you are good like Grassetti, or if you are good like other people which are very good, then probably you will have just high polys, just sculpting for figures, for action figures, or for just for some kind of figures like superheroes or whatever they need. Some big companies which are making this kind of 3D figures, they can look out for people that are doing just the sculpting. So it can be done. Many people are doing it, not many, but the very good, the very best sculpting artists, they are doing this. They are not doing low polys usually. Because low poly is more technical. It's not that artistic stuff. It's not tickling your artistic creativity. You know, you're not creating anything basically. You are just going on top of your high poly. It's a little bit hideous job, but it has to be done. Yeah, you will do just the high poly, low poly, and texture as well. I will do high poly, low poly, and texture as well, but not now. It will be later. Probably I will not show the whole process, but maybe I will show parts of the process in stream. We'll see. At your skill level, how much do you charge for a piece? At my skill level and my availability, which is not big, since I'm not available always, I charge depending on, you know, I will answer like a politic. I charge depending on the details of the model, depending on the requirements. For example, this model, it's not gonna be just like this, like a statue. It will have open mouth, so I will have to open the mouth at some point. It will have teeth. It will have separate eyes. Most models have separate eyes, but this one, it will have inner mouth and teeth, because there will be facial animations probably. So I will take this in consideration when I am, you know, making the final price. But usually the models that I charge for are between, the price that I charge is between, let's say, $600-700 and $3,000. It depends on the complexity. And usually, if the character is too complex, I will just refuse to do it. I will not ask for more than $3,000 usually. If the character is worth for me more than $3,000, if I have to charge it more than that, it means that I will have to spend like much more time, much more hours that I'm willing to do. So I just will say, sorry, maybe you should turn to somebody else who will be able to do it. Because it's not that I will not be able to do it. I will be able to do it without any issue, but there will be issue. That I just don't want to spend that much time on one character. That's it. Personal preferences. And I can have personal preferences because I have, you know, something behind me, like experience and portfolio and everything. If you are a young aspiring artist, you know, you just start and you're not as good, you're not experienced usually, then you cannot be that picky. And the prices that you say usually cannot be super huge. Remember that if somebody contacts you and you know, in my case, they can look for, particularly for me, because they've seen my videos, they know me from somewhere, and that's okay. But usually, when you are a normal artist, when you are just an artist, you know, nobody knows you because you are not in YouTube, you are not having a huge Instagram following or whatever. You're just an artist looking for a job. Then people will write you, but they will write the same way to like 15 other people who are matching their style of their game or whatever. So they're writing to all those people and they're asking for the price. Everybody to give them the price. And they will choose the one guy who will give them the best price for the quality that they provide. They see the portfolio and they say, okay, this guy gave us, he wants $500 for this model, to do this model, and his portfolio is telling us that he's good enough for us and he will do it just fine. The other guy is a little bit better, but he's asking for $1,000. We think that it's better to give $500 for the character than $1,000. You know, you cannot know these things. You cannot know how many other people are also in the loop and also kind of providing prices. You cannot know. And I have talked with some people and giving them prices, and then they say, okay, we decided to not work with you at that time. I'm completely okay with that. As a young artist, when you're trying to make a name for yourself, you usually cannot afford that much. You need most of the work, you know. It's better to have it. So you have to kind of try to go for a lower price. I can afford to go a little bit higher. That depends on the guy. Also, when you're working in a company and you're getting a salary, and when they ask you for freelance, it will be your free time. For this free time, you have to consider, is your free time more expensive than your working time? For example, when I was in Gameloft, I was getting, let's say, like $12 an hour, like salary. The salary was around $12 an hour in Gameloft, my salary. So in freelance, I was trying to get at least $25 an hour because it was my free time. So those hours are more expensive. Instead of resting from work, instead of spending time with my family, I have to do a freelance, for example. So this freelance have to be well paid. Ooh, something fell. You know, I don't know what face I made, but it was scary because I was pulling things from the wardrobe and now something was just tingling and probably it felt, and I was like, what? Hi Nico from Belgium. Hello, European Union, Belgium. Huh? Yeah. Belgium is in European Union, right? I think that it is. Should be. At a skill level, okay. Well structured, okay. How much do you charge for such a character? May we know it? No. If I say how much I charge for a character like this, it will mean that I will say that how much I charge for this character, which will not be ethical in my opinion, since the people who asked me to do this character, they're watching my streams. So it's not gonna be nice to kind of reveal the price. You don't know those people, of course. They don't know you. Yeah. Shoulders, we have the face. The face probably will not be this one. We will see how the face will change. It will be interesting for me what they will ask me to change about the face. How to do it. But yeah, we'll see. Gotta love how honest Nico is. I'm honest mostly. Sometimes I'm not that honest because, you know, in this case, if I was super honest, stupidly honest, I will tell you exactly how much I charge for this character and stuff like this. But I will not. This, honestly. Your lordship, which is harder, animation, sculpting or rendering? What takes you most time for you? I haven't done animation. Rendering takes some time, but it's not the best thing for me because it's not creative that much. You know, I like the sculpting most. So for me, sculpting is the best because in sculpting you create things from zero. Your most artistic work is the sculpting. Then all the other works like texturing, baking, UV making, and low poly and rendering, those are things that you are doing for already created model. So they're a little bit more boring for me. Many people are liking a lot rigging. They're liking a lot, some people are liking a lot rendering. They're spending hours and hours and hours to put the lights in the perfect position, to make the materials as much as possible to make them better. Not me. I don't like that type of thing. I like creating. I like the creative process. Of course, you don't have to be like me, because people are not exactly equal. But as I see it, most character artists, which are like me, character artists, they don't like to do low polys. But they are doing that because it's required from the job. So yeah. Nico, can you make interview with Laura? Laura, probably she will not want me to do an interview with her, because back in some of my videos I have made some little comments which are, let's say, maybe not homophobic. Probably they can sound homophobic, I'm not sure, but I have people told me that they sound kind of homophobic. Probably, I don't know if it's homophobic is the word, but since I have grown in the communist times, I have grown in you know, this kind of environment like Russia, this kind of environment, it's a little bit difficult for me to accept those things, you know. But since we are now in European Union and we are trying to be more Western pointed, I'm trying to be more like, yeah, to accept this. But I'm not sure she will accept it if I ask her for to make a interview. And also we are kind of a competition to each other, so I don't know, but it will be interesting. Why not? Money is important. Yes, it happens. You can't work for Gameloft all your life. Exactly. I was, by the way, when I was working in Gameloft, for me the life without Gameloft was, I was not thinking about it as possibility, you know. For me Gameloft was like me and Gameloft all together to eternity. That was the thinking. And when somebody was expelled from Gameloft, for me it was like, this guy doesn't exist anymore, you know. Something like this. It's not exactly like that, but it was a little bit inside thought, a little bit of a, you know, back in your mind. And now I see people that when I was in Gameloft, we were like, hello, how are you, nice, everything. When we see each other out of the company, for example, in some party or whatever. I don't go to parties too much, but in some restaurant. Now, I saw a guy, a couple of months ago, I saw a guy in this kind of a big restaurant, and I was sitting there talking to some people, and he went to the bathroom. I saw him, and I know him from Gameloft, and then he went back, and I say hello, and I expected him to come and say, how are you, how is life outside of Gameloft? No, he was like, hi, and he went away. So probably he thought that in the back of his mind a little bit that I'm something like contagious. If he gets close to me, maybe something about his position in Gameloft will start to crumble or something. Yeah, this is just my thoughts, you know, maybe it's not like that. But he just, you know, split. Kids are most important. Yeah. Long sword is called katana and the sword wakizashi. Exactly. Georgiev said in the interview that coding is more creative than sculpting. What do you think? Before I started sculpting, before I started these things, I was doing websites with HTML. So I was opening Notepad, I was starting just writing, and then I just, you know, see it in the browser, see it in the browser, add pictures like img tag and the picture, and it was pretty creative. I was very happy. I was very happy to do it. So yeah, coding is pretty creative also. But now, and when I discovered sculpting, it's on a different level, for me at least. If you are not a sculptor, if you're not an artist, but you're artist by soul, but you don't have the artistic skills, coding, I think, is completely relevant. Hello Nico, salam. I'm learning Maya and ZBrush, studying 8 hours every day. Really? Can I earn around $1K for the beginning after 1 year? Fair answer, please. I don't know. Basically, my fair answer is I don't know. If you study 8 hours every day, probably you will be able. But the skill that you have to also acquire somehow is to sell yourself. Because if you just are kind of a mediocre 3D artist, because for 1 year you cannot be very, very good. You will be intermediate, maybe to advanced, but not ultra good. So if you cannot sell yourself somehow, if you cannot promote yourself without getting banned from groups or whatever, so not very rough promotion, but you have to be able to promote yourself. But in order to promote yourself, you have to be good enough as an artist. Because I've seen people that promote themselves with an art which is below average, so it's not gonna happen usually. How can I be as good as you? Hello there. Artur, you can be as good as me if you have 15 years in the industry, maybe drawn from very young age. I don't remember when I started drawing, and I was drawing like crazy. I've drawn like all my life. And then when I discovered sculpting, I started sculpting. I have thousands of hours in sculpting. So yeah, that's how you can do it. You have 4 saves for ZBrush high poly character. Sometimes 4, sometimes more. It depends how difficult it is. So the more detail the clothes has or the character, the more money I should charge. Usually yes, because this means that the character will take you more time to finish. At least that's the logic, you know. For example, let me tell you how you can make the price very easy for a character. You see the concept. And you say, for this concept, I will need at least, let's say, 25 hours for the high poly. I will need at least 10 hours for the low poly. Maybe 10 more hours for the UVs and texturing. So around 45, 50 hours I have to put in this character. Let's say 50 hours. Okay, I want to get $10 an hour. So 50 hours, $10 an hour, $500 for this character. High, low poly textures. If you want to go more, if you want to get $20 an hour, then $1,000. If you want to go more, then it's more, you know. So it depends on what kind of price do you know, what kind of money an hour do you wanna make, you know. And for me, it's not only about money an hour. For me, it's also about my availability, and you know, I charge a little bit more than the average people probably. But of course, I'm not saying I'm the only one, choose me. Many people, when I tell them my price, they just go to another artist, which is completely okay. They should do that. I'm not the only one. Maybe I'm the best, but I'm not the only one, you know. And I'm not the best, yeah. Don't take that as serious. It's not serious. I'm joking for the best. So, we'll save this. Then Artstation reviews. But first, let me answer very quickly to most things. So yeah. Hey Nico, can you make money in game industry by just sculpting? Yes, I already answered that one. Let's see. Hi, cool works. I'm 3D artist too. I'm working in Blender. Wacom Bamboo, very good. Same tablet with mine, very good. Nico, have you used Nomad Sculpt? Yes, a little bit on my phone sometimes. Which software is better, Blender or ZBrush? For sculpting, Blender, ZBrush is the best software. For everything, I mean, it's like comparing Photoshop with Krita or for other, free software. For the price, Blender is the best. There is no doubt about it. But if you don't have a budget, if you have a limited amount of money, then ZBrush is the best. And in ZBrush you can do also hard surface. In Blender you can do more things. You can do nice renders, which in ZBrush it's not quite well, but you can. I know people that can do amazing renders in ZBrush and Photoshop. Of course, ZBrush with the help of Photoshop. But yeah, ZBrush is the best sculpting software, hands down. There is no doubt about it. But of course, for most tasks, Blender is completely enough. And it's good enough. You can see all my videos and you can see what I'm doing in Artstation. In the links to the description of this video, you can see my courses. You can see that in Blender you can do amazing stuff. This girl, she fell, by the way, from my desk, and now she is a little bit off. There are some things that are off, but it's done completely in Blender. This is my latest course, and it's, I would say, a pretty good model, which is done completely in Blender. So I don't know what proof you want, what other proof you want that Blender is ultra capable software. And usually for beginners, especially since I'm a teacher, I'm teaching mostly beginners, intermediate users, you don't need ZBrush. In order to learn how to sculpt, you don't need ZBrush. You need Blender, and it's enough. Then when you start trying to get a job in the industry, you can learn ZBrush then if you want. It's not a problem. ZBrush is a program, a little bit awkward program, yes, I admit, but you can learn it. There are a lot of courses, tutorials, YouTube videos about, even in my channel. So ZBrush can be learned. In my opinion, you can learn how to work in ZBrush for, let's say, 1 month. If you work every day for like 5 hours every day you spend to kind of practice in ZBrush, you can be pretty proficient in ZBrush for like 1 month. But sculpting, anatomy, working from concept, those things you can learn in Blender, and they require much more time. Linko, is that tablet wireless? No, it's not. Only practice and practice, yes. Do you ever use both your mouse and tablet at the same time? Not in the same time, because I'm using it with one hand. It will be difficult to use it at the same time. But usually I'm working with a tablet when I sculpt, and when I go to edit mode, I sometimes switch to the mouse. Practice and practice. Doing UVs is your biggest obstacle in this. No, UVs is not the biggest obstacle. I even enjoy doing UVs. The biggest obstacle in any sculpt and any game model that I'm doing is the low poly, because it's slow and hideous job since I'm doing everything by hand. Привет, Nico. Love your art and courses. Hope someday I will work with you in one studio. This will be difficult since I don't plan to work in studios, but never say never. If they offer me a very well paid job in a studio, remote, completely remote, and I can basically choose my timings and my hours of work, then why not? I'm not saying no to that. But freedom is very important. Yeah, apologizing takes a lot of time. Nico, do you ever get tired of following the concept art all the time? I mean, do you sometimes just feel like doing freestyle sculpts? Lately, that's how I feel. It's always like that. An artist will always want to do something like freehand. Something just from imagination, which is great. And I admire that. I not admire. I say that's okay. But working from concept is a skill that you have to have as a character artist, and it's completely needed to practice it. Otherwise, you will get behind. Nico, glad to see you in orange shirt. How is the new course going? It's not going anywhere right now because of the freelance, because of the Starfield, because of family issues. They're not super issues, but you have to pay attention to your family too. I make characters for $100. That's cool. And I told you, my other freelance is from a guy who approached me in Discord. And he told me that he's paying $60 to $80 in Fever for a character. And they're making him characters. And I say, okay, you're getting a big bargain here. So continue to do that. It's perfect. But then he said that he don't like them that much, that characters. And I told him that for this kind of money, $60 to $80 a character, you cannot have you don't pay to like them. You pay for just some characters, some things that resemble a character. This is this kind of money. And he asked me how much money I will ask to make him a character. I say the money that I will ask are 10 times, at least 10 times more than the people that you are paying. So you probably should stick with them. But now I'm doing a character for him, so it's fine. Maybe some people just sometimes lean to quality than quantity. I don't know. How much time does it take for you to do one project? It depends on the project. Sometimes I can do a character, if it's very simple, cartoon character, I can do it for, let's say the high poly can be done for less than 10 hours. It needs refinement and stuff, so the base mesh I can do it for like 2 hours, but then here and there you have to touch and everything, less than 10 hours. But there are projects that I have worked on a high poly for more than 50 hours. It's for Gameloft, very complicated characters and a lot of time. What do you think about beginner taking all freelance jobs for $5 per model? It sounds pretty ridiculous, I would say. I know the feeling. I would burn out doing a complex character from anime franchise. Now I don't want to do art for months. Exactly, you don't have to burn yourself. What are some parts of the process that make it take a long time? A month to create a character. To create each and every individual part of a very complex character with a lot of details on him. You have to do every detail which is different from the other one. If the character has a lot of things going on, then it's a hideous and slower process. I know people that have done characters for, let's say, 3 months. 3 months for one character, even more than 3 months. Because he has freelance, he has work, and he's doing this character in his free time, and it takes like many hours, like more than 100 hours for, like 150 hours for high poly only. There are even people who are doing likenesses, and one of these guys, Ivailo Ivanov, I think is his name, he's Bulgarian, and he told me that sometimes he's doing one head with the bust up to here for 150 hours. Of course, this is high poly, low poly, and some materials and some baking, grooming and stuff like this, but 150 hours. This is just enormous amount of time. I don't know if I have ever worked on a character for that long. I'm not sure. For the whole character. Nico, love your videos and courses too, thank you. Do you need to learn modeling if you want to learn animation? No. Hello from Turkey, tonight will begin learning from you Blender Sculpt with tablet tutorial. Thanks in advance. It looks so well, thank you. I would like to share my models with you when advance. Good. Hey Nico, sorry to spam, but have you ever used Nomad Sculpt? Yes, I have. Hi Nico, how are you doing? Random question. What focal length do you use to sculpt? 88 at the moment, and usually 88. Rigging and skinning is the worst. Man, UVs aren't that bad. It's like butchering something with a knife. Yeah. I'd say it's better being jack of all trades in this field. It depends. Some people are very good in anatomy and sculpting, and they're doing pretty well, I would say. They're not doing animations or rigging. I hate everything comes after the sculpting. Me too. I don't particularly hate it, but it's a little bit boring. Nico, I love creating stuff in 3D, but I'm afraid my future bosses will want me to pre-made characters. I have heard that character artists mainly work on clothes. That puts me down. But clothes are done nowadays by Marvel's designer, usually, especially in some games. By the way, when I was playing Starfield these days, most of the characters are pretty good and pretty well made, but there are characters here and there in this ultra modern and the most modern game the most AAA game, the higher level game, there are characters which are looking pretty bad, and they're not looking particularly bad, but they can be better. I see, especially the clothes, they can be much better in some characters. So yeah, that's what I'm saying, that we don't have to be perfectionists. If they can afford, in this kind of ultra high level game like Starfield, to make characters which are not perfect, then it's okay. We can do whatever. Don't be scared. That's what I mean. Nico, I love create. Okay, hope you're doing well. How long have you been doing Blender for? It's like 1 year and 9 months. I'm using only Blender for almost 2 years. I'm using only Blender. I don't use ZBrush. Hey Nico, can you tell us about how you landed your first freelance job and maybe give some career advice besides making a portfolio? I remember one of my first freelance jobs for character making. There was this girl who was working with us. She is a character artist also. She's now working in Axel Animation. She was in one of the movies for Love, Death and Robots. This one in the space that the girl is cutting off her arm and throwing it so she can go to the other direction. So in this movie, she was making the facial, I think, models. But back in the days, she was working in Gameloft, and at some point she was getting a little bit lazy and she didn't want to do one particular freelance. And she asked me if I can help her and do the freelance. So she made the contact with the freelance guy and she presents me to the guy, and I did the freelance and they were pretty happy. So yeah, this was one of my first freelances. The other one, freelance, that I did before that was something that I talk sometimes about it, but it's very interesting because this company approached me, particularly the guy who is the head of the company from United States of America. So they approached me when I was my first like 4 years in Gameloft. It was around that, and I was already a 3D artist, and he approached me and said, look, we are doing this game. And he explained all about the game. It was a survival game. Everything looks very nice because he thought about all these systems and very nice. And they were making this game for a while with freelancers all across the globe, which is cool. But he said, okay, we're making this game and we planning to release it in like 1 year. We want models for the game, like animals mostly. So can you do them? I said, okay, I can. So they needed a crab, they needed an elephant, they needed rhino, some animals. But they said, okay, we will sign a contract. And their contract was the most complicated and long contract that I have ever seen in my life. But since this was one of my first freelancers, I said, okay, this is probably a normal contract. And the contract was that I will not get money for the characters right away, but when the game came out, I will get a percentage of the sales. And they said that the percentage of the sales that I will get will be this amount of money because the sales will be this amount, and they're making this kind of statements, which usually you can, nowadays you can see that you can probably figure out that it's a little bit awkward. But as I said, okay, yes, I was working in Gameloft, I was getting money from them, so I was not super eager for the money. And one friend of mine, he said that probably I will not get any money from them. And that was the case. But I did like maybe 10 animals for them. They were very happy because the quality of the other artists, especially the character artists who are making the humans, it was pretty bad. So my animals was maybe the best thing that they had in their game. So they were very happy. But at some point, the year have passed, maybe year and a half have passed, and nothing happened. No game, not even close. And I saw that this game probably will never be out. And now, maybe around 10 years later, maybe not 10, but 8 years later, the game is still not out. And it will never be out, you know. And this guy is just, you know, contacting people and offering them percentage, and they are working for him. And he's making something like a product that then he can present to investors. They will give him money. He will do the same. He will not give money for the people. He will just offer them percentage, and the game will never come out. And this millions that he will get from investors, for example, or thousands, he will get for himself. This is kind of bad. It's a scheme, but he's very, how to say, he's very charismatic, and he has a very good idea of the game, and all the things. Everything is very well thought. So, and everything is working very well in like a game company. They have producers, they have programmers, they have animators, they have everything. They have everything like a normal company. But usually people, after a couple of years or even less, they're starting to fall off. They're starting to quit, you know, because it's useless. Yeah. Did you was banned from some group? Usually no. The thing is, you're getting paid less for the same work 2 years ago. Probably. Nico, I wonder you about sculpting and creativity. Yeah, my view is okay. Sculpting and creativity is good. After all, we base our sculpts on the concept art, which is the actual creative work. Yes, but in order to do it in 3D, from all sides, to be looking good, that's also kind of creative, in my opinion. To do something from just one drawing, to make it 3D, to be able to go around it, it's just, for me, it's fine. I mean, it's just a perception of it. Even if it's not completely ultra creative or art, if I perceive it as creative or an art, it's, for me, it's creative and art. Hi, Uncle Nico. Is it possible to make money from just sculpting? Thank you very much for this question again. We already answered it a couple of times. ZBrush is the best, but Blender are awesome. Yeah. If you sculpt by tracing from Spotlight with lower opacity, is it cheating? No, there is no cheating in sculpting. Yet. Hello, do you use Blender to retopologize characters? Yes. I'm planning to change ZBrush and using Blender. Yes. Hello, Nico. What chair do you recommend? A comfortable one, usually. Hey, Nico, can you check out the whip that I post in Discord whips? Not right now. I need feedback from a professional. Okay, let's check it out. If you need a feedback from professional, the latest whip. Shosho. This, in first glance, looks amazing. Especially the grooming of the hair is just top-notch, in my opinion. The rendering also looks pretty cool. The modeling, the face pose and everything, I would say perfect, except maybe the shoulder pad. This kind of the shape is a little awkward in this position, at least. I don't completely like it, but the hair is just wow. Yeah, I like it very much. And the rendering and the zipper, especially, I like the zipper, how it's super big and huge. It's very, very good. So you don't want my opinion, I think you just want to brag about it, you know. I got you. Rav Grassetti said that he worked for more than 1.5 years on Kratos only. No, it's not good. Any chance you give me feedback for 2 heads I sculpted? Where are those heads? I don't see the heads. So probably no, because I don't see the heads. But if I see the heads, maybe. How do you know how dense the low poly mesh has to be on a character for a game animation? Is there some general rule for this, or do people tell you how many polygons they want? Usually they tell me what they want, of course. Usually I know. They tell me, like, the character has to be 20,000 triangles. No more than 30,000, okay? And I do it normally. If it has to be more, because it's for some kind of a, you know, a film or movie, then I do it like 20,000, and then I subdivide and tweak here and there. It's, yeah. Okay, is ZBrush necessary if I'm trying to get hired? Usually, yes. People say that ZBrush is necessary, but in Gameloft, for example, they didn't mind that I was starting to use only Blender and don't use ZBrush. But I'm providing good quality content, so it's just about that. Most of the time, if you are providing quality models, there will not really be a problem if you don't work with ZBrush. But if the company has a policy that everybody has to work with ZBrush so they can interchange the files, then probably they will insist for ZBrush. And some companies are. I started with female models, but your stream shifted my interest to muscular characters. I'm sorry about that. Female models are more difficult to do than muscular characters. So yeah. Previously sculpting woman was painful. Now I joyfully sculpt males or stylized character. That's cool. That's cool if you enjoy it, of course. Hello, Nico again. I'm making characters slow. Absolutely will not be fast as your long time. Maybe will be fast than now, 6 months later. Of course, everybody is getting faster and faster when they have more practice. Is there a problem for freelancers, commissioner firms? It depends. If you're charging by an hour and you're very slow, then it will be a problem for the freelance people that are giving you freelance, because you will take twice as long, for example, than it has to take, and they will have to pay you twice as much, which is not good. That's why since I'm fast, I'm not saying that this character will take me 10 hours, so give me this amount of money. I say, for this character, I will need this amount of money. I'm not saying the hours at all. Hours are not in the equation in my case. So if you also are very slow, then you can do this. You can say, for this character, I will take this amount of money. And then you can work for 100 hours, and then it will be like $5 an hour for you. But it doesn't matter. You will be competitive. Love Death and Robots, best animation yet. Some of the animations are very nice, yeah. The Scammer. Yeah, something like a scammer was this guy. Nico, would you want to live in Japan? Maybe yes, but not for more than like 3 months or something. I don't... I was to Japan, I was to Tokyo, I went to Tokyo and Kyoto. And it was very nice, but living there for more than a couple of months will be difficult for me. It's very foreign. It's very foreign culture. The language is completely different. Many people don't speak English. It will be difficult for me. Yeah. I love how Nico is brutally honest. Sometimes, yeah. What happened to the blue shirt? It's in the washing machine. When Artstation review will be? Any moment now. I posted the 2 heads in Whip channel, okay? We'll see it. I don't think so. Okay. Do you use quad remesher? Yes. Usually for freelancers, I use quad remesher because it's faster than doing it by hand. If I have to do some kind of a armor or something just to refine the geometry, I'm using the quad remesher to refine the geometry enough so I can then make the high poly better and nicer. Then for the low poly, I use just manual retopology usually, so yeah. Okay, let's see the 2 heads. Oops. Okay, the 2 heads. Now this one, the first one, is not very good. There are some shadows on some strange areas. The eyes are a little bit too wide, probably. This one, the bottom one, looks pretty good. I would say it's not bad. But the focal view looks a little bit too low. Also, the ears look a little bit too big. I don't know, something is a little bit off. But other than that, the second head looks pretty good. The first one, this one with the beard, the top part of the head is probably a little bit too big. This part, the mouth part, needs to be a little bit longer and bigger. You see here it's good in this one. In this one it's a little bit too small. Because he has a beard, he has to have a little bit longer than even the normal chin because of the beard. And also you have to spend more time on them. You have spent way less time, especially the ears. And this one is just completely very, very in a low stage, in a early stage of development, we may say. And don't go that high in the geometry so early, because you don't have the shapes complete yet in most of the things. You have to just relax. Let's go to the Artstation now. The Artstation reviews are starting right now. We'll do them for half an hour because this will be 2-hour stream. Now, this we saw, this we saw, this we saw, we saw. This one was very nice. This tiger, amazing. Also, what was amazing was this guy. And this guy, in his Artstation, he has only this knight, but it's very cool. Now let's see Joy Heart. Joy Heart is a sculptor from Alexandria, Egypt. And where is this? I don't know. Let's see. This one doesn't look quite bad, but the problem here is that we don't see quite much of the character itself. There's a lot of this kind of a bloom effects and everything, and we cannot quite see the character that much. So that's an issue. Here also a lot of shadows and stuff which is covering the overall thing, but it's not ultra bad, of course. There are some good things about this, I would say. Let's see some other work. This one. Yeah, the nose is not very good. The mouth is not bad. The overall shape of the face is kind of okay. But there are some issues. The mouth is a little bit too wide. It could be narrower. There are some issues, of course. The hair, I appreciate that the artist has taken its time to make the hair. So he or she had made this kind of a shape and then started to put it, to duplicate it and put it in certain ways. This means time. So it's time consuming. This means that Joy Heart has spent some time doing this. So usually when you make a character with eyes and with irises, don't make the iris in the middle of the eye, which means they always look like this. They're very surprised, Make sure that the upper eyelid is covering almost to the pupil. It's covering the iris. It's like through here. And then it will be more normal looking. Let's see. So, but I don't see this Batman, by the way, in the portfolio, which is interesting. Or it's something like Batman. We have seen this already. Some people are cheating and putting their things a couple of times, I think. Or we have watched those in the previous. So this is a nice dagger, but we have seen it. This is a nice mech. I like how it looks in the thumbnail. Wow. So you see, this is a very, very nice model. A very, very good presentation. It's a very good render with nice ambient occlusion, with nice lighting, with a rim light, not too much, and there is no ultra white places. There are not ultra black places. It's just very good. It's just very good, and the materials not bad. So yeah, very nice. Let's see. Ooh, impressive. Impressive. You can all see that this model is just super cool. It's the anatomy of the face, the hair grooming is very nice. The armor, very good. Clothing, yeah, I would say that this sleeve and this sleeve, this is the weakest point of this model, as long as I'm seeing it right now, yeah. Other than that, it's very, very nice. It's very nice. Super nice. And the rendering and everything, just this and this sleeves are a little bit off. They are the weakest link. Let's see this one. This one probably is the base of the other one. The sleeves here are looking a little bit better, I would say. And overall, great job. This is high level of character creation. I would say a little bit strange that this this thing is curving here, which it cannot, you know, since this front thing is kind of pulling it. It has to be completely straight from here to here and from here to here. So this is a little bit strange, but other than that, it's looking wow, very nice. So this guy is, or girl, whatever this artist is, he will do great in life, I think. So let's go to the other one. Joy Hart again with the Batman. Let's see. My name is Batman, Trick-a-plep, but there is no Batman here. Let's see mature content. Show me the artwork. There is no too much mature content. But you see, there are problems here. This girl has socks, and then she has this kind of a high heels on the socks themselves, which usually is not very good, because this doesn't look like a boot. It's too much, you know, there is too much of the leg visible. So this is a sock, but with a sole, with a high heel. So stuff like this, and the anatomy itself is awkward. It's not ultra good, but of course it's a character, so it's not bad in this position. I told you, when I was young 3D artist, when I was a young artist, if I can do this type of model, I would be amazingly happy. I even haven't dreamed about doing this. So it depends on the artist, how much time he has spent doing characters and how old is he also, stuff like this. Oh, let's see. Pablo. Let's see, Pablo. Okay, okay. I like that. Those are some very nice kind of a cartoon characters going on. And by very nice, I mean with the nice, cartoony, shiny, bright renders, which is very good. Let's see this one, which is black and white. Not bad. The anatomy itself, I will not comment it. Probably the concept was like this, you know. Let's see. Come on, let's see the concept. We cannot see the concept usually because it's somewhere here, but we cannot actually find it because this guy, I know this guy. Ah, here is the concept, we found it. Okay, so the concept is a little bit better with the anatomy, I would say. Yeah. So Pablo needs to work a little bit more on the anatomy. Pablo from Spain, but other than that, his rendering skills, presentation are not bad at all. So yeah, those babies looking pretty cool, looking very cool. Presentation skills are important. When I was a young sculptor, I was pretty good in sculpting, relatively good in anatomy. My presentation skills were pretty weak. Since then, I have bumped them up a little bit, but still, they are weaker than my sculpting. My sculpting is the best ability that I have. A grumpy little witch sitting on a crystal ball. It's very interesting, yeah. But yeah, good stuff. For example, this portfolio of this guy, Pablo, is good if people are looking for, if some companies are looking for this type of models. And also, he has to show that he can make low poly and UVs and everything. So if you have low polys and UVs in your work, in your portfolio, then you will be better off and much more people will probably approach you, because people are not usually looking for models for 3D print. They're usually looking for models for games, movies, cinematics, advertisement, and they all have to be low poly with UVs and textures. So this is a skill you have to acquire at some point if you want to kind of. Let's see Julian or Julian. Depends from where he is. Probably from Colombia he's Julian, but could be Julian. I don't know. So this orc I would remove. This one looks nice. This one looks very nice, but the render itself is kind of flat. You see, this is some kind of a dwarf. Let's say it's a battle dwarf. Okay. The thumbnail, I will never click on the thumbnail because it's so dark, and when I squeeze my eyes, I don't see anything on this thumbnail. There is no contrast. This, on the other hand, I would click immediately because the thumbnail looks amazing. So, I don't know. Those are the models that this guy did, and they're looking pretty good. He was part of the creative team. Clothing simulation he has done, and texturing some of the clocks and props. Yeah, but in the thumbnail, we are seeing face. And this face is very well done, and the hair is very nice. But the guy said that he hasn't done that. So, it's not good. Let's see the battle dwarf. We need a better render of this one. I mean, this model is good enough to look relatively nice, but it has to have better materials and definitely a better render, better lighting and render. Otherwise, it will just be dull. This one is relatively nice. The render itself is a little bit flat, and there is a little bit too much light on this area here. And there are some dark areas, very dark, super dark areas here and there, which usually in animation, in this kind of animation style or cartoon style, you don't want to do it. But the sculpting is not bad, especially I like the chest. Those kind of bumps and stuff in the chest, they're looking pretty cool. So yeah, the guy has made the models. The wrinkles on the clothes or the folds, they are not looking bad, so they are okay. For this style, they are nice. The render itself is a problematic because you see the background is black or dark, and the shadows, some of the shadows are, see the parrot, half of the parrot, not half, but almost half of the parrot is kind of cut out. It's missing because of the lighting, because there is no rim light which will complement the main light and stuff like this. Yeah, but other than that, things are looking promising. Presentation, work on your presentation more. It's otherwise it's fine. 3D Max or Blender for modeling. Okay, let me make this clear. 3D Max for me is dead. I was working from 3D Max from the beginning when I started doing 3D back in before Gameloft days, when I was in university. I was using only 3D Max. I was very happy because I was doing a car, I was doing a chair, I was doing computer modeling. Then in Gameloft I was using also 3D Max because they were using Max and ZBrush of course. But now when I'm using Blender, it's so much easier to model in Blender than 3D Max with all the shortcuts and all the things. I don't want to get back to Max anymore. I mean, it's, you know, so Max, no. But Nico, are more interviews coming? When the fate presents an opportunity for interview, I will take it, you know. So we'll see. Can you see my Artstation? First, I've been here for 2 streams already. Many people are here for a lot of streams, but their Artstation are a little bit more down. So at some point we will get them, and the videos will be in my channel, so we will not lose everything. Even if you're not on the stream, you can watch the video later. It's not a big issue. Nico, do you think game companies use character creator or DAS to create their characters? DAS probably no. If it's respectable company, probably they will not use DAS. And character creator, I don't know, but probably no. Usually, in my opinion, for a game, for example, like Starfield or similar, or Cyberpunk, they have some base meshes, and they are making inside the game engine, they're making blendings between those game meshes. Only for the main characters, for the characters that you will encounter, that you will speak with, probably they are making them kind of more unique. The other characters, they are just mixed and made. For example, in Fallout 4, if you remember, if you some of you know, you have basically not only in Fallout 4, in most Bethesda games, you have the ability to inside the game to make your character like fat or bulky or thin, everything in between. So yeah, they have this kind of things, and they're working with them. So yeah, in these games probably mostly grooming and clothes are made by the character artists, and faces. Some faces have to be unique. Some faces are generated in those games, in Bethesda games, but some faces are unique. I remember Fallout 3 when it came out. It was an amazing game, don't get me wrong. It was super good, like gameplay, everything, but the faces of the characters were the worst. Most of the females has mustaches because of some kind of strange shadings, and it was awful. But yeah. 3D Max, okay. Yeah, 3D Max, yeah. You can use 3D Max, you can use Maya, you can use whatever, but I'm telling you, for me, Blender is the best. What chair are you using? I'm using some kind of very expensive chair because I haven't paid for it. My wife has this chair from her work, and she donated the chair to me since my chair just fell apart that I was using previously. So this is kind of expensive chair. It's not the best for very tall people like me, but it's doing its job. I think it's fine. It's starting to fall apart also. Some things are broken, but it's old. It's like maybe more than 10 years old probably, so it's normal. Maybe I'm wrong, but Max is more convenient where work with environment. It depends. It depends on the person. I haven't worked with environment that much, so I don't know. Where I noticed that in Starfield characters look like it, but not looks good as 3D artist does everything. No, the characters are very nice, especially the faces are pretty well made. So I'm looking at the Starfield character faces when I'm speaking with some character, with some bandit or whatever. I'm speaking with them, and I'm looking at their faces, and I'm observing them, and kind of getting some things from my modeling, you know. So they're that good. They're very good. If ZBrush was free, would you prefer it over Blender for sculpting? Yeah, that's a good question. Probably yes. Probably yes. But it's not, so we cannot say that. Or you preferred all to be one software? For me, ZBrush was all in one software, because I was able in ZBrush to do hard surface without any issue. Very nice UVs. By the way, ZBrush, if you don't know, has maybe the best organic UV creation algorithm. It's just the best. It's spreading the UVs just perfectly. ZBrush. But of course, there are other things that are not as good, especially in the UV creation. Usually, what we do as a character artists in our in Gameloft was we are making the characters, then we're making the low poly. I was making it in Max back in the days, and then I'm making the seams in Max, but I'm unwrapping it because the unwrapper of ZBrush is amazing. I'm unwrapping in ZBrush. I'm putting in the low poly in ZBrush, unwrapping it there by the existing seams from 3D Max, and then I put the model back in 3D Max, and then I'm rearranging the UVs themselves, which are already unwrapped. So unwrapping is amazing in ZBrush. So ZBrush for me was all-in-one software, almost. But it's not free. And also I told you, Blender has much bigger player base, we may say, user base. So for me, selling courses for ZBrush is not as good as selling courses for Blender. That's a big part of why I'm using Blender also. And as you can see from my courses, I'm doing very well. I mean, the characters that I'm doing, they're not bad. They're production level characters, high polish I mean, which are working. They're working completely well. Not a problem. What do you prefer, to have good karma or bad karma in Fallout 3? Good. I was always a good guy. Now in Starfield, I choose to join a Crimson Fleet, so they are pirates. I choose them instead of joining some kind of a navy force, which is the first. I usually choose the law. I mean, to go fight the pirates, fight the bandits, and go to the laws. But in this case, I decided to do something different. But, yeah. But Nico, my wrist hurts so bad after 6-7 hours of sculpting and modeling. I ordered vertical mouse and using my drawing tablet on my lap. They helped me a lot, but do you have any advice? I advise you to use the tablet more. The tablet, when you use it just like a pen, it doesn't have that bad effect on your wrist as the mouse. The mouse is you have to rotate your arm more to use the mouse. It's more natural to use the pen. You know. When you are doing Artstation review in week, you got a schedule. No, I don't like. You will never use miss your portfolio. You have to know where your portfolio is kind of in where it is, and when you see someone close to you, you will know that yours is kind of next. You know. Hello, Nico. Hug from Brazil. For those who want to start modeling in Blender from scratch, which course do you recommend? I recommend modeling. For modeling, some modeling course. My courses are mostly for sculpting, although there is modeling in them, but they're mostly for sculpting, because modeling courses, there are a lot. There are a bunch of them. There are thousands probably for Blender. Sculpting courses, not so much. And my courses, that's why they're kind of unique, because they are sculpting courses from relatively experienced sculpting artists. Nico, when you send your character to the rigger, it's not triangulated, right? It's not. So do you want the rigger to deliver you a triangulated mesh to do your textures? No. Rigger is not delivering anything to me. It's one, the mesh is going only one way. I never, usually, not never, but usually the mesh is, for example, I'm doing, the low poly is ready. The UVs, I'm starting to do the UVs, and then I can give it to the rigger for him to begin working. Then he's doing the skeleton, he's putting the skeleton, he's rearranging it, he's starting to do the rigging. Then I give him the final model. After a couple of days, I give him the final model with textures and everything, and he's just replacing the first model with the final one. And that's it. He will never give me back my model triangulated or whatever. Why would I need the model from the rigger? It's not for nothing. Maybe if he wants to do some changes, he wants me to do some changes, then he can give me the model that he already done some changes to, because sometimes the rigger can add some loops here and there. It's not a problem. But usually no. Nico, do you think you can beat yourself at speed sculpting using Blender versus ZBrush? No, I don't know how to use ZBrush anymore. If I go to ZBrush now, I will be lost. I forgot almost everything about ZBrush, because it's almost 2 years since I have used ZBrush for work. So it will be difficult for me. Of course, I can remember everything pretty fast. Probably in like 2 hours I will be the same as before, but I don't know. Freelance in same group with Bulgarian team Ludogorets, Fenerbahce. In same group with Ludogorets at conference league. Who will win? Who knows? Our both countries are pretty corrupt, so it's I don't know. Hello Nico, it's great to sculpt and watch you this evening. Thank you very much. Hello from Miami. Hello Miami. Hello from Miami too. Oh, a lot of people from Miami. Alright. Americans. But Nico, did you ever make 3D character model for a full motion video? No, I haven't. this is not my style. So let's go and see how much time do we have. We have like 5 minutes more. Let's go through a couple of Artstation things. So this is looking relatively fine. There are some kind of stylized models, okay, but this is pretty specific portfolio. So if I am a recruiter, I want to recruit somebody to do some freelance work for me, I would only consider this guy, Ekrem Sevim from Turkey. I will only consider him if the game is super stylized. Otherwise, I will not consider him. So yeah, this is very specific portfolio. And yeah, the guy will probably tell us if he has some job offers, but with 27 followers, probably not. Probably not. And yeah, it's difficult to get many followers with this portfolio because those things, they look like they take very less time to do. And also the presentation of some of them, for example, here, you see, it's very flat. This pickaxe, we cannot see the not the angles, but the sharp things, we cannot see this. I mean, it's very flat. So yeah, the renders have to be a little bit better, but also people tend to like in Artstation, and in Artstation, most people are artists or consider themselves artists, and they're appreciating work that has time in it, a lot of time. And the more time that it's visible you put in your work, more detailed, very nice render, very nice modeling, grooming, whatever, the better the reception will be, and the people will follow you because they like to see this. They like to be inspired by some very nice and big projects. I mean, with a lot of time put into those projects. That's why those things are not gonna work for a big portfolio with a lot of followers. It will be difficult to get it. They're not bad per se. For this amount, for this type of style, they're pretty cool. But let's see, Ricardo from Brazil. Okay, Ricardo is doing pretty well, I would say, from what I'm seeing. This skull is looking relatively fine, although the horns themselves look that they're inflated. You see, they look like inflated balloon with this kind of a shiny balloon. Now here they look not bad, but with the material, they look like an inflated balloon a little bit. I don't know, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Let's see something else from Ricardo. Okay, so for this character, I would say the head is too big. Usually my heads are too small, but in this case, this one is, the head is too big. When you're making a muscular character, like Superman or something, you like him to be bigger than life. I mean, to be like huge and big and muscular. You don't want him to look like, 1 meter and 60 centimeters tall, which this one looks exactly like that. He looks like he's 160, 165 tall. And when, for example, I stand in front of Superman, who is like one head below me, it will not look intimidating. It will not look like real Superman. So yeah. Other than that, the anatomy is kind of okay. Can be better, of course, but mine also can be better. So what to say? I don't know. Let's see Spider-Man. Spider-Man also a little bit bigger head, and also too bulky, too thick. The Spider-Man has to be agile, has to have long limbs, like a spider, But whatever, those are just, my thoughts. Let's see this. Head anatomy. Yeah, it's pretty cool, but I would say maybe the mouth could be narrower. It's a little bit too wide. Other than that, it's looking pretty well, especially the hair. I like it a lot. Okay, good. Edges, edges was the word that I was using, or searching for. Nico, why don't you become a professor or 3D art teacher? I am a 3D art teacher, if you don't know. I have a lot of courses, and also I'm teaching in an academy here in Bulgaria. Now this year I will teach anatomy. Last years, since I started like 3 or 4 years ago, I started in this academy. I was teaching 3D character art mostly, but now I will teach basic anatomy, which also is fine. I like that. I like anatomy a lot. The problem with using textures on a quad mesh is that textures, especially lines, get wobbly because Substance Painter viewport is triangulated, but in Blender it's quads, so they are different. Yeah, you can say that, and sometimes these triangulations are causing problems with different engines. For example, I saw even in Starfield, some of the characters have this kind of leather belt coming on their chest, and they have triangulation issues on this belt. Some of the characters have the same belt, and the same belt has same triangulation issues on couple of places. So even with the best, those things happen, and they don't fix them. They probably will at some point, but this huge game, those things are probably normal. Any good people you can recommend if I'm trying to also learn environment art in Blender? No, I'm not interested in environment art at all. This is not my specialty, so I don't know. Maybe you should just check out in Udemy who has better ratings, and that's it. Also, this is why artists hate AI people calling themselves artists, because it's cheating and takes no time to produce. Exactly, yes. You can solve triangulation issues between Blender and Substance by exporting the model with a triangulation modifier from Blender. Yes, by the way, I had problems with this triangulation modifier from Blender because I have exported it from Blender, put it in Substance Painter as, I think, FBX file, and I have no issues in Substance Painter. In Blender, everything looks fine. When we put it in engine, in the engine for Gameloft, I mean the Game of Games, since the engine is made for 3D Max triangulation, and the 3D Max triangulation is different than Blender triangulation, then we have triangulation issues. So it's you never know when the issues can occur, you know. Do you think that using VDM, IDM parts of base meshes is cheating after learn anatomy and character good? Or always should make himself from zero to finish? No. I am making everything from zero. Why? Because for me, since I'm a teacher, I have to always be, I have to always hone my abilities. I have to always be good with everything. That's why I'm always doing everything from scratch. But for people who are doing a lot of freelance, who are doing a lot of characters, they have to use base meshes. They are using base meshes. They have to use base meshes, VDMs, whatever they can. Nothing is cheating except taking models directly from DAZ. Probably this can be cheating. Also, if those models from DAZ, if DAZ people kind of look at your end model at some point, they look at it in the game and they see this model and they recognize it, then they can be issues. So that's why usually we don't use models from DAZ or just like ready models, because they can be legal issues with that. But if you are making your base mesh from scratch and you are spending like 1 month or something working on your base mesh, male base mesh, female base mesh, fat, strong, whatever, and then you're using those, nobody can tell you anything. It's fine, and you will save some time. I am not doing that, but I'm not saying that when you are in production, you don't do that. You usually do that. And I know very good artists who always start from base mesh and they never dynamesh it, because they're starting from base mesh which has UVs, and they just subdivide it and work on it. And at the end, they have UVs in this mesh, which is useful. Yeah, they use it also for, then they use it for low poly, for example. But this is usually for faces, for naked human, for hands it can be used. if you have a male or female or whatever with a lot of clothes, then you can use parts of it, like the face part, the hand. The other parts you have to do manually, usually. I buy a superhuman anatomy course, really good content. Yeah, I think so. I think it's fine. Yeah. Since I'm very modest, I would say it's one of the best human anatomy courses out there. Not the best, one of the best. Proco's anatomy is better, and some few other, but this is in Udemy. It's probably the best, I may say. Yeah, hands down. Yeah. Victory 3D, by the way, has some nice. The result is not super good, but I think she's explaining pretty well. So yeah, probably it's also cool. Okay, guys, we have to wrap it up. Is sculpture more taxing on GPU or CPU? It depends on where you sculpt. If you sculpt in ZBrush, only CPU and RAM. If you sculpt your processor and RAM in ZBrush. In Blender, GPU is and RAM and processor, everything. In Blender, everything. That's why in low-level laptops, ZBrush can work pretty well. Blender, not so much. Blender needs kind of a decent video card, especially on high-level sculpts. Thanks for the wonderful tips. Thank you very much too. Do you think it's possible to sculpt as fast as sketching with a pencil? No, it's not. I mean, even I cannot sculpt that fast. I mean, if you compare me with some fast sketch artist, I cannot compare with him. If you compare me with some slow sketch artist, maybe we can compare. But if you compare fast sculptor with fast sketch artist, no, the sketch artist will always win. Okay, guys, bye for now. See you in the next. Hopefully, we will continue from where we left off in the Artstation reviews, and also maybe in the next live we will see how this character is developing. Probably we will. So yeah, see you then.